sunshine, mountains, and desert. It must be time for baseball to begin. And we have the first spring training game of the year as the Indians host the Reds in Goodyear, Arizona. The young Indians take the field behind one of the strongest starting pitching rotations in the league. And the flashy smile of shortstop Francisco Lindor. Settle in and enjoy one of the joys of spring baseball next on Sports Time Ohio. From the arid desert in Arizona, it's spring training baseball. We're back. It's the Cleveland Indians and the Cincinnati Reds as we open Cactus League action today at the ballpark here in Goodyear, Arizona. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. Happy to be back, ready for another season of Indians baseball here on Sports Time Ohio. And for the Cleveland Indians, a lot of excitement as the team went down the stretch last year. Rick, they found something. The core group with some of the young players really coming on strong. And now they add some new guys to the mix.
Well, the three veterans that they added, Mike Napoli, of course, Rajai Davis, and Juan Uribe. Davis is in the lineup today, but Terry Francona says in the first two games, everybody's going to get a chance to play. So we'll probably see Uribe, maybe not because he was a late sign, but Napoli in there tomorrow.
Fans obviously excited about the addition of a guy like Mike Napoli, that big right-handed power bat that the Indians have been so desperately seeking in recent years. Josh Tomlin's on the hill today for the Tribe. He'll be starting this game for the Indians, one of the five top really good starting pitchers for this Indians ball club. We'll be back with the first pitch between the Indians and the Reds coming up next.
People ask me about match.
Temperatures actually unseasonably warm for this time of year as the mercury will soar toward 90 degrees this afternoon here in Goodyear. Indians Reds getting ready to lock horns here this afternoon. Let's take a look at Cincinnati's starting lineup under manager Brian Price. Jake Cave will be the leadoff man. He'll be in center field. Eugenio Suarez is at third base. He'll bat second. Joey Votto, Brandon Phillips, Jay Bruce. The meat of the order, batting in the 3, 4, and 5 spots. Votto and Bruce were two of the only players last year to really stay healthy all season long for Cincinnati. Even Brandon Phillips had some bumps and bruises that forced him out of the lineup from time to time. Adam Duvall, Yorman Rodriguez, Ivan DeJesus Jr., and Tucker Barnhart round things out for Cincinnati.
And it'll be Josh Tomlin making the first start for the Indians this spring. He spent the first 4 months last year rehabbing after he underwent right shoulder surgery in March. But when he came back, he went out and made a minor league start. He really had a terrific finish to the year, going 7-2, and had a .302 earned run average in his 10 starts. Threw a lot of strikes, pounded the strike zone, had a very good strikeout to walk ratio, and really put himself on the map. And they signed him to a 2-year deal, and a very good opportunity for him to be the number 5 starter this year.
I think, Rick, in some ways it would be an upset if he's not the number 5 starter when the Indians break camp.
I agree, because a lot of times early in the year you may not need a 5th starter, and he could also go and pitch out of the bullpen as well, and he did that last year too.
Then again, it's only day 1 of the spring training Cactus League schedule. A lot of things can happen between now and opening day. Josh Tomlin into the line, and we're underway in Goodyear. First pitch strike to Jake Cave. Cave, 23 years old, left-handed batter. Takes down low from Josh Tomlin to even the count.
It's an opportunity the Indians and Reds will meet for the next 2 days after today. The first 3 games of the year will be played right here against these 2 ball clubs.
And a strike from Tomlin. Josh Tomlin, as Rick told you, is a strike thrower. Guy that does not nibble, and that looked like strike 3. Yan Gomes was ready to fire it down to third, but Tony Randazzo says no, it's out of the zone.
Well, Gomes thought it was a strike, and it's right there on the plate. He brought it back, but you know, it's spring training for umpires as well. Ball up and away, I guess he said.
That ball is golfed in between first and second base. And Cave gets a second chance on the close call and delivers a base hit for Cincinnati.
Let's check that Tribe defense out this afternoon behind Tomlin. Stacks up this way. Davis will be in left field, and he's going to get a chance to play a lot of center field this year as well. But Naquin, the rookie, trying to make this ball club, he's in center field. Lonnie Chisenhall over in right. Urshela at third. Gonzalez is in short. Martinez at second. Santana gets the start at first with Gomes behind the plate. And we told you earlier, tomorrow could be a totally different lineup because everybody is going to play in the first 2 games for the most part. Terry Francona said.
Josh Tomlin keeping a close eye on the runner at first base. He probably slows down the run game better than any pitcher on this Indians ball club. And they all do a great job, but Tomlin,
he went a few years where no one even attempted a stolen base off Josh Tomlin. I mean, that's his total package. That's part of his game. He holds runners well. He fields his position well. He throws strikes. The only problem is that when he makes a mistake in the middle of the plate, he will give up some home runs. But that's all part of throwing strikes.
blowing away as Eugenio Suarez lays off. We remember Suarez from his time in Detroit. Last year was with Cincinnati over 97 games. The season before that played 85 games for the Detroit Tigers. Tomlin with another snap throw over to first base. Jake Cave, the runner at first base, was a Rule 5 draft pick of Cincinnati out of the Yankees system. And of course, we were down in Nashville this year for baseball's winter meetings, and that's the final event of the winter meetings as they hold that Rule 5 draft. Every once in a while, there's a diamond in the rough that someone steals and ends up making their big league club. But that's the problem with the Rule 5 draft. As this ball is lifted to right center field, pretty well struck. Chisenhall won't get it. And it will go to the fence. Cave coming around third. Billy Hatcher's going to wave him home. Here's the throw to the plate. Michael Martinez is on the money, and Yan Gomes applies the tag to Jake Cave. And that is out number one with Suarez going to third on the throw.
Well, you'll see out in Arizona, high sky, the ball carries very well. Chisenhall thought he had a beat on it, but it gets over his head. Suarez drove it to right center, and it's a very nice relay coming in. They pick it up. He got it on the one bounce, but it fell out of his glove. You hit your cutoff man and give him an opportunity, and what a perfect throw, and he was dead by 20 feet. It's a long way to run on the first day of games from first all the way home. So they do get it out. Suarez goes to third base.
Now Joey Votto, and he takes a strike. You point out, though, that the perfect execution on that play, and that is what they work so much on during spring training drills. You know, the cutoffs, relays, fundamentals.
The funny thing of it is, now they play games so early. They get in within less than a week. They're playing baseball games. So they don't have that much time to get going. So you would assume a lot of these guys are working out on their own, and you know, usually the throwing arm is one of the last thing that comes for an outfield. You got to stretch it out. Pretty good relay right there.
Votto takes a look. It's a little bit low. Votto, a terrific eye, usually has a high on base percentage. Last year he hit .314 in 158 games. He had 33 doubles to go along with 29 home runs.
Just a very disciplined hitter. People would love to see him swing the bat more because he can do some damage in that ballpark. But he takes a lot of pitches. He goes deep into a lot of counts. He'll take his walks, but boy, he can be very dangerous.
Pitch counts at always something they'll keep a close eye on here early in camp.
You know, for most pitchers, like Callaway says, 25, 30 pitches coming out the very first time. And then they start increasing by about 10 every time they come out. And by the end of spring training, they hope to have you up around the 100 pitch, 105 pitch mark if you're a starter.
Brendan Phillips waits on deck. Payoff pitch coming to Joey Votto with Suarez down at third and one out here in the first inning. And it's low, ball 4. So a typical Joey Votto at bat, very patient, works the count, takes his walk. Look back again at the relay from Lonnie Chisenhall, who misplayed it initially, but makes up for it.
You see how deep Martinez is. That's a very good thing for the infielder to go out early. Martinez, I'm sure, played some baseball this winter. He made the longer throw. But the key as an outfielder, as the year goes on, that infielder they're going to want closer to the infield for a shorter throw and let that outfielder make the long throw. But he did it. He had a terrific relay.
And we saw a little bit of Michael Martinez at the end of last season.
Well, he played outfield and infield, so you know he's a pretty good utility guy.
Brandon Phillips. It appeared as though he was on the move this offseason from Cincinnati as the Reds made a number of offseason deals trying to rebuild on the fly, and it looked like Phillips was going to, I believe it was Washington.
He was traded twice.
It sounded like a deal was pretty much done, but Phillips ultimately nixed the deal, and those are within his rights.
He's a 10-5 guy, 10 years of major league service and 5 with the same club. And that's the right you earn. You're right. For whatever reason, he didn't like the deal that was going to Washington. They had him moving somewhere else as well. And right now he is back in Cincinnati, and you know, well within his rights. I don't know how happy the front office of the Cincinnati Reds are, because they're committed to rebuilding. They probably could have gotten some good young prospects for Brandon.
First and third for Cincinnati, one out here in the first inning. And a foul back.
Yeah, and how time flies, because when you go back and think about it, Brandon was one of those young players that came from Montreal and Grady Sizemore for the Bartolo Colon trade years ago. You know, and now he's the veteran trying to move on, but he didn't go anywhere.
Well, and some folks within the Reds organization believe that with the other trades that they've made, acquiring a lot of young pitching, if they can keep Votto and Phillips and Bruce together, that'll give them at least some semblance of an offense. You start purging your entire roster, and all of a sudden, I don't care how good your young pitching is.
That's true. I mean, they've got some good young prospects as far as pitching goes, but you know, Frazier's gone. some power and a third baseman over there. There was a lot of talk Bruce would be on his way packing, going somewhere.
Phillips with an opposite field single into right field will give Cincinnati the lead as Suarez scores from third and Joey Votto stops at second. So 4 straight have reached safely to start the game for Cincinnati. Only the leadoff man, Cave, who was thrown out at home, has accounted for the only out so far in the inning.
And right there, Phillips just staying back. He got a fastball that was up in the zone by Tomlin, just taking it the other way. Didn't try and do too much with it. But boy, when you can come in for the first game of spring training and have that swing like that, that's a good sign.
So Jay Bruce will be the batter, and Rick mentioned Jay Bruce was rumored to possibly be on the move, and there are still rumors swirling about with regards to Jay Bruce. So I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up getting dealt at some point this year.
A lot of rumors of him going up north of the border to Toronto.
Bruce yanks it foul down the right side.
The amazing thing, it was a weird year in baseball as far as signing, because a lot of free agents, they're still out there. There's guys that are available that are some pretty good players that you could still go out there and sign. Austin Jackson still available. Very good outfielder.
2 on with 1 out. And the 0-1 count on Jay Bruce. Foul right back. Did you ever feel like there was a definite advantage pitcher versus hitter early in camp as opposed to any other time?
Yeah, it's fine. They're just trying to command their fastball. They don't have a lot of good breaking stuff working right now. So if you're a hitter, you sit up there and look for the fastball, and you get after it. You don't take it. But sometimes guys want to get a look at the strike zone. They may take a few more pitches. There's a pretty good pitch on the outside corner. He didn't get called on the very first hitter. I mean, when you watch this one,
too, I guess.
Sure it is. There's a pitch right there. I don't know what's wrong with it. It might be a little low. But he thought he had Cave struck out as the first hitter, and now he hasn't gotten an out since. After that relay.
Reached for it. Tomlin fields it cleanly. They get 1 there. And a double play ends the inning. So Josh Tomlin helps his cause by turning 2 in the middle of the diamond. But Cincinnati strikes first. The Indians are coming to bat when we come back.
When your car needs maintenance or repairs, keep it simple. Come to Conrad's for batteries, belts.
It's a little further north. That's a little Sedona action right there. I don't live that far north. That's beautiful.
Maybe you helicoptered in for the games.
Yeah. Me and Yasiel Puig.
Did you see the car that Yoenis Cespedes rolled into
so
camp
sick
in?
of seeing those. Which, no, let's not even go there. No, I didn't.
Looks like something from that Speed Racer would have
What
driven.
day? He drove a different one for the first 6 days.
Here's Rajai Davis. He's going to lead off for the Cleveland Indians, followed by Yan Gomes. Lonnie Chisenhall will hit third. Then in the middle, it's Santana, Joey Butler, and Tyler Naquin. Giovanni Urshela, Eric Gonzalez, and Michael Martinez round out the starting 9 for the Tribe this afternoon. John Moscott will be the starter on the bump for Cincinnati. Big right-hander at 6'4", 210 pounds. Rajai Davis, we have seen him over the years playing against the Indians, most notably with Detroit because they're in the division, but before that with Toronto, with Oakland. Actually began his career with the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Always seem to do well against the Tribe. But Davis in left field today, he'll get his share of time out in center field as well. And even at the end of spring, Terry said he'll give him a chance. He'll move him to right field. Let him take a look everywhere.
Last year, Davis played 46 games in center field, 39 in left, and 10 games in right field. So that versatility certainly should serve him well under Terry Francona this year. Two-strike pitch misses inside. Rick, I thought it was interesting when Terry Francona said that initially he'll play Davis in left field and a little bit in center, and then later in camp he'll get a look at him in right field. Why so, do you think?
Well, because I think center field is going to be the biggest hole they're going to have to fill. Between that with Brantley out in left field too, those two over there. Chisenhall will probably get the bulk of the playing time in right, I would think. But you have options when you face left-handers, so you know he'll get his look over there. He wants him in either center or left, I would think.
Now the 1-2. And a strikeout as Barnhart smothers it. He'll have to throw it to first to complete the out, one away. Here are today's storylines as we open up spring training Cactus League action here in Arizona. The 5th spot in the rotation. Who will fill it? Will it be Josh Tomlin, who's starting today's game, and who's in center field? The Indians certainly, when they opened camp a week to 10 days ago, probably had the idea that going in Abraham Almonte maybe had a leg up on the competition, but
you would think so.
An 80-game suspension handed down for Almonte as Yan Gomes bangs a single into left field. And so with Almonte sidelined for at least half the season and who knows beyond.
Well, they have 12 outfielders. They went out and signed Venable to come in, and Gomes jumps on that first pitch. One to his liking, ripped it to left field. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of question marks. The outfield for the Indians, that's something that, you know, he's going to have to work with.
Hey, a lot of it depends on how quickly Michael Brantley heals and how quickly he can get back on the field and play.
Well, that's true. That's what you have to get Brantley back for this offense and him in that everyday lineup. But then you still have to deal with center and right as well. So he'll have options, plenty of guys. We'll see how it shapes up.
Lonnie Chisenhall did a tremendous job last year transitioning from third baseman to right fielder. Not something that you see a lot of guys do maybe successfully in the middle of a season, but Lonnie went down to the minor leagues, and actually it was his suggestion. He said, hey, how about if I move to the outfield? Lonnie with a one-hopper to second. Phillips goes to second for the force there. Back to first base just in time. It's an inning-ending double play. We played an inning here in Goodyear. It's the Reds 1 and the Indians nothing. 0-0 as we go to the second inning here in Goodyear. Actually, a few clouds in the sky. We haven't seen a cloud, I don't think, in a week. But still warm as the temperature near 90 degrees here this afternoon. TJ House takes over on the hill for the Tribe here in inning number 2 after Josh Tomlin worked 1 inning, giving up a run on 3 hits. Last year, sort of a lost year overall for TJ House. He had some injury issues, left shoulder problem, did not pitch well when he had some early opportunities. And he feels strong and ready to go here in camp as he tries to compete for a spot on this starting staff. But he told me earlier it's not, he said he doesn't have his sights set solely on, well, I've got to make this club, I've got to make this club. He's taking the approach more of, I'm going to help this club in any way I can, whether it's starting out in the minor leagues, if they need a spot starter later, if they need somebody to come in and help out, whatever the case may be. He said, I've just got to control what I can worry about, which is going out and starting every 5 days, wherever it's
right. That's what hurt him. Without having surgery, it was a lost year for him.
Popped in here, shallow right center.
He lost it already.
Naquin can't find it. Lonnie Chisenhall does and makes the grab.
Boy, oh boy, that right there will show you that you need to help in the outfield. Naquin broke to left center field, so he didn't even see it off the bat. Chisenhall ended up making a very nice recovery, and he's looking over there for a little help. And the sun is right behind home plate at the start of games here at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and it is very difficult. If you lose it off the bat, you're in trouble. You certainly need help. We say this every year. If you can catch a fly ball here in Arizona,
you can catch it anywhere.
You can go anywhere and play the outfield.
And Rick, to your point, and there may be fans listening, watching, saying, oh, come on, how can it be any different there? I was watching guys, they were just taking fly ball practice, just outfielders in the outfield with a coach, you know, around second base, hitting them just pop flies. And I saw several guys just freeze, like they never saw the ball, and all of a sudden it would drop on the warning track or drop in front of them.
Well, you don't have the background. You don't have the big second deck here, you know, or the higher levels that you know, you can hear it or you can see it off the bat. It gets up into the blue sky. There's a lot of just silver around here.
But
and
you
the ball
would think,
blends into everything.
But you would think the blue sky, I've got to be able to find it. And then you look up and you cannot see it.
And the sun's in your face, too. And it's going to get windy here. There's no wind today, but it's just a very difficult place to play. It's tough to see it on the ground. You know, it's just a tough place to pick it up.
Fouled right back, Yorman Rodriguez, DHing.
But I'll tell you, these players here, they're taking advantage of it. This is the way you want spring training. They're playing in 80-degree weather. This is the way for baseball to get played. And enjoy it, because you know when we leave here, it's not going to be like this when you get home. And I'm talking about whether you're in Chicago, on the East Coast, or wherever.
Indians will open the season at home this year against the Boston Red Sox on Monday, April 4th, a 4 o'clock Eastern start.
And the game's already sold out, huh?
40 minutes. Tickets went on sale and they were sold out as TJ House gets a swing and a miss by Yorman Rodriguez. 2 down. Let's focus in on TJ House on that fly ball.
Look, who's there? Yeah, please somebody catch it. Yeah, look at, he probably didn't see it either. He's talking to Urshela at third base.
He probably turned around and was looking at Tyler Naquin and going, uh-oh, where is it?
Yeah.
Ivan DeJesus Jr. takes down an in-ball 1. Weak ground ball hit to short. And Gonzalez throws him out. So it's a 1-2-3 inning for TJ House. Cincinnati on top 1-0.
With home values up,
Innings here in Goodyear. I'm not sure what they were doing. Battle balls?
That was a great promotion out there in right center. Millsy, did you set that up?
Well, we try to coordinate a lot of things in spring training. That's not
one of them, no.
I can't take credit for that.
Well, Brad Mills joined us. He's a bench coach for the Cleveland Indians, entering his 4th season as part of the Tribe's coaching staff. And spring training, I kind of look at spring training as kind of your show. I mean, you have a big hand in coordinating, and there's a ton of drills and people going. It's like a Chinese fire drill. People going every which direction. How do you keep track on a daily basis of what is supposed to be taking place?
I think you said it. What's supposed to be taking place? We, you know what? We sit down in the off season. We go over some things that happened maybe last season, and then we sit down in the off season and we go through some of the things we want to focus on, and then we try to put it in place that maybe we can get that done. And the guys have done a good job.
Oh, Carlos Santana's done a great job. He leaves the yard for a solo home run, and the Indians tie the game at 1 here in the 2nd inning.
See, I'm not charged with hitting, though, but that's okay.
Well, you're getting credit for it today because you got him enough swings.
That's it. That's it. That's for sure. Boy, that was a nice stroke.
I'm sure you would love to see, and Indians fans would love to see more of that this year from Carlos Santana. Not that he didn't provide his share of power last year, but certainly he can be a real force in the middle of this lineup if he gets in a hot spill.
Yeah. There's absolutely no doubt. The one thing that I think that you guys have probably seen too is the balance that we have on the club this year with the way these guys swing the bat. So we're hoping that balance really helps us out a little bit.
There's Joey Butler, and he's driving one to fairly deep center field. Cave on the track pulls it down. 1 away. Hey, Brad, Rick and I were just talking before you came on the air because we watched Lonnie Chisholm make a fine running catch. How difficult it is for the outfielders in Arizona, in particular, to catch fly balls.
There's no doubt. I think I talked to them this morning, and we were saying that they're catching a little bit of a break today because we have a little haze cloud cover a little bit. Well, when there's no clouds out there, it is really difficult. But the one thing that Lonnie saw on both those balls, the one that made the alley and then the one he caught, they both had a lot of carry to them.
Yeah, they sure do. And when you come to Arizona, you're better off playing much deeper than shallower because it is tough to pick up the baseball, and you're going to have to get back. But the one thing I do like, they had a heck of a relay to get in there and get it out at home plate for game number 1.
It
wasn't it?
That's exactly right. Anytime, because that's a fundamentally sound. We try to work with balls. We work on bobble drills on balls at the wall and so forth. And he did bobble that one, but he came right back and he got the out by hitting the cutoff man, and then the cutoff man, Michael Martinez, made a real nice relay to get the guy to play.
Brad, has it changed a little bit? Because it seems like the everyday players come into camp later now, and they start games within 6 or 7 days, so there's not a whole lot of time to do a lot of the work like this.
There is. I think one thing that we've been able to do, at least this spring, is because of that, and you guys have probably noticed since you've been down, but we have 6 fields back there, and we used all 6 fields. And we're able to kind of divide the guys up, and they're able to get a lot of reps in really a short period of time.
Well, as we said, scheduling is so important in a spring training environment. You've got to run a tight ship because you've got the guys for a certain amount of time, and you want them constantly moving. A lot of it's mental as much as anything, right, Brad?
Well, I think you said you want to keep them moving.
Right.
I mean, we get in a situation where if guys are standing around so much, then I think that focus tends to maybe lax a little bit. But if we can get maybe 4 or 5 guys, 6 guys on a field and do some work with them, we not only keep them moving, but we can shorten that time to maybe sharpen up that focus.
Not quantity, quality.
Yes.
Get it in, and you do a tremendous job. I was watching it with the pitchers doing PFP, 3 1s, 1 3s, 4 1s, squeezes. You keep it moving where these guys are constantly going through it.
That's my pet drill.
I love that.
The rapid PFP is what we call it, and that's my pet drill. And I enjoy it, and I think the guys see that I enjoy it, and they really move around really well. The guys are doing a good job.
How much of success as a defender is eliminating doubt, just knowing where to go with the ball without having to think about it?
Well, we try to put as much pressure on we can real quickly, and in that rapid PFP that we were talking about, the one thing that we do is we keep it rapid so they can't really sit there and think about, well, what's going to happen. It's more game-like, if you will, and they have to use their instincts.
Yeah, if you ever see it, it's a treat to watch for you people out there watching it. We'll have to get some footage of it so we can bring it up on TV and show these people. But you are nonstop. You probably have a lather going when you're done, don't you?
You know, I got blisters on my hands. I'm sitting. I need some oxygen, but it is fun though.
Well, and it's like the the shift. The shift's become a big part of baseball. So now you're working shift defense, turning double plays from the shift positions into spring training workouts, because it's not something you maybe thought about doing in the past. But hey, if we're going to play the shortstop on the other side of the infield, we better get him some reps turning the double play from that side.
They've got to see what it's like. And you know, when you stick the second baseman way out in right field, that ball coming off that dirt into the grass, it's going to start hopping different. So the more reps we can get of the ball doing that and taking some balls from grass to dirt to grass, hopefully the better off we are, and the guys can come on. And Kip has done a real good job of that out there in short right field during our drills here in spring training.
3-2 count. This has been a heck of an at bat for Giovanni Urshela, by the way. And he ends up getting sawed off, rolls it to third, and Suarez throws him out. Brad, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Indians bench coach Brad Mills with us. Carlos Santana's solo home run has tied the game at 1 after 2 innings in good.
Come celebrate the 50th annual
Cincinnati is going to lead it off. He's the Reds catcher. Then we'll turn it over to the top of the lineup. Folks soaking up some sunshine on another beautiful day here in Arizona. The weather has been spectacular. I got out here February 20th, and it's been mid to upper 80s every single day.
They had one of their warmest Februaries on record out here in Arizona. 20 of the 29 days were well over 80 degrees.
Wow.
They didn't have a trace of rain here in the valley, believe it or not. And it didn't start that way in the wintertime, but boy, it's been spectacular. Let's hope it's going to be this way the rest of the way out.
Yeah, the guys in the uniforms are not complaining. They come to spring training to try and get in shape, and they don't mind the warm temperature.
Not at all.
TJ House, a 1-2-3 second inning. This is upstairs, 1 ball, 2 strikes to Tucker Barnhart.
And House, a touch and feel pitcher. His strikeout last inning coming on a good changeup down and away, and there it was. He's trying to set that up to the right-handers where he'll back them off. That's why, you know, he tries to pitch one inside before he'll go out away with his changeup. And the Indians pitchers so far made pretty good pitches with 2 strikes.
And remember, the guy behind the plate. Now, granted, this is all spring training, so we're not trying to get too critical of the umpires here. But Yan Gomes is statistically one of the best catchers at being able to take a close pitch and frame it back over the plate and get that pitch called a strike. And a lot of that has to do with just how you receive the ball. It may sound simple, but when you watch other catchers do it, there are some really subtle nuances to being able to influence the umpire. I'm talking about the very borderline calls.
Yeah, it's not as easy how you can frame your glove, the angle of the glove, the way you catch the ball. You know, and when you figure, at least on this staff, we've got some guys throwing in the mid-90s. It's not easy to do. Or with movement on the baseball, you know, you just have to catch the baseball first, but it's tough to frame it when you have pitchers with great movement.
One ball, no strikes. Top of the order, Jake Cave. Singled into right field his first time up. Takes outside, and it's 2-0. A lot of it has to do with the hands of a catcher. I mean, some guys just have such strong hands that they can catch a wicked ball that might be sinking and it just sticks in the glove. Their hand doesn't move.
Yeah, go look at their thumbs, you know, throughout the course of the year, and they'll have those thumb donuts on that plastic piece to keep it in there from taking. A lot of times they'll have bone bruises on their hands from trying to catch pitches. They get beat up back there throughout the course of the year, as we witness.
Yan Gomes, one of the very best, takes a lot of pride in doing his job behind the plate.
I'm sure we're going to see, I think, 6 catchers over the next 2 games. Each of them will catch 3 innings apiece to get it going.
So Jake Cave is now 2 for 2 as he bloops one into shallow right field, or into shallow left field, just right over the head of Giovanni Urshela.
Well, that's a good job of fighting that ball off. That ball jams him inside. It's a good pitch by House, but he gets enough of it, just barely catches grass to the outfield. So they will have first and second and nobody out.
And Eugenio Suarez will be the batter. Suarez doubled over the head of Lonnie Chisenhall in right field back in the first inning. Came around to score the Reds' only run so far. And he takes a low strike.
This is one thing 2 years ago that House did very well, is when he had traffic on the bases, he was able to pitch around it or pitch out of it. Where he pounded the strike zone, he got the ground ball, they got the double plays when needed.
There's a ball rifled into the gap. That's going to get down and go to the wall. Cincinnati will take the lead as Tucker Barnhart scores. On his heels, Jake Cave. He'll score 2. Here's the throw to third base. It's in time. And Suarez is out number 1. But the Reds score a pair, and their lead is now 3-1.
Again, shooting that ball to right center field, and it gets all the way to the wall. So he will drive in too. It'll go as a double. And they do get their out at third. But a nice job of hitting the baseball the other way. This time he overthrows. Naquin overthrows his cutoff man Martinez. But you see the trailer. Gonzalez in play. Makes the throw to Urshela, and they get that runner. So another good assist out there. Even though the first throw was over the cutoff man's head.
Votto takes it's outside. Joey Votto drew a walk his first time up. And he's sitting on a 2-0 count now here in this third inning after Cincinnati has come back to regain the lead. Popped out of play. Two balls, 2 strikes. Cincinnati coming off a 98-loss season a year ago. Just 2 years ago, they were coming off back-to-back seasons of 90 or more victories. Made the playoffs in both 2012 and 13.
Yeah, when you think about the Reds last year, beginning July 29th, they ended up having a streak of 64 consecutive starts by rookie pitchers. a modern day record. That's unbelievable. Think about that. 64 consecutive starts by rookies alone. Yeah. I mean, that's hard to win that way.
Votto lines one through the glove of Giovanni Urshela.
See, that one ate him up over there. That was a play that Urshela would make, I would say, most of the time, but this is the very first game. And I don't think he picked it up, Matt, the way he went at the ball. I don't know if he could judge how hard it was hit. Now watch how he goes after it. One step, and that's a reactionary position. Although Votto did hit that ball very hard, it comes off his glove, and he will get a base hit.
Almost looked like, Rick, he was expecting the ball to go higher than it did.
Yeah, it got on him in a hurry. It's just a tough thing to pick up.
So Brandon Phillips, who had an RBI single to right field his first time up.
Hey, cold beer, water here.
Pitch is inside.
That's a pitch where House needs it to be effective, an inside pitch to the right-handers, because the last time Phillips was up, he took a nice fastball. It was up and away, took it to right field. He's looking for a ground ball, see if they double up on the inside again.
Swung out
a breaking ball inside, and he did come back in there.
So it's a 1-ball 2-strike count for Phillips with Votto at first.
Yeah.
See if he goes for that changeup to try to get that double play ball. One hopper to second. Martinez goes to Gonzalez, back to first. It's an inning-ending double play. Cincinnati, though, regains the lead on the 2-run double by Suarez. 3-1 Cincinnati, middle of the third. As we go to the bottom half of the third inning here in Goodyear, Arizona, Eric Gonzalez, Michael Martinez, Rajai Davis due up for the Indians. New pitcher for Cincinnati will be left-hander Brandon Finnegan after John Moscott worked 2 innings, allowing 1 run on 2 hits. One of those hits, a solo home run by Carlos Santana. Matt Underwood, Rick Manning with you. Let's go down to the Indians dugout, where this inning will be joined by Jason Kipnis. How are you?
Guys, what's going on?
Everything's fine. How do you guys love this weather out here so far?
You can't beat it. You can't beat spring weather.
That's what I thought, man. 80 degrees. It's been a great February out here.
Was it a winter where you were sort of anxious? I mean, I'm talking about the way you built momentum at the end of last season. Were you anxious off season to get going, or are you just so beat up at the end of the year where you just don't want to think about the next season for a while?
It's a mix of both. I think once the last game's over, there's nothing you can really do about it. So you kind of let the body heal up, take your time off, unwind a little bit. But you never get too far from the game. You never get too far from thinking about stuff.
Ripped by Gonzalez, picked up short by DeJesus, but the throw gets away. Everybody all right down there?
We're good.
So Gonzalez aboard at first to start this third inning for Cleveland. Take another look at DeJesus on the throw.
Yeah, routine play, but it doesn't matter. You still got to make the throw. A little high. Votto can't get up yet. Yeah, we see you get out of the way. You got to keep your eye on the ball. You certainly did. Get out of there.
That's what they pay me the big bucks for.
We told Millsy to be careful over there. He said he's pretty fast. He could run.
Michael Martinez steps in with a runner at second base. And Martinez swings, fouls it up the third base side. Kip, when you're sitting there in the off season, how closely do you watch what the team's doing as far as, off season moves and how the team is being put together?
A lot, actually. If I'm going to be honest with you guys, I follow along pretty closely. I'm one of those guys who comes home and sits on the couch and watches Sports Center anyway, so I'm usually tracking along with what's going on, the moves being made, and even if that just means maybe if I see something, get down.
Nice job.
Base hit to right for Martinez. Coming around third, Gonzalez going to be held up by Mike Sarbaugh. And the Indians have runners at the corners with nobody out here in inning number 3.
I'll usually text with like Brandt or some other guys if some stuff happens. We always just have like a little powwow about things.
So you do stay in touch with the guys throughout,
always,
I guess now with texts and the phones and everything. Yeah, you probably talk once a day.
It's so easy to, and it's you can't go from having breakfast, lunch, and dinner with these guys for 8 months straight to just cutting off communication. Granted, everybody goes back to their families, goes back to their homes, but you're so used to talking to each other, you still kind of stay in touch.
Kip, for your goals this spring, what do you set out for when you come to spring training and you have about 5 or 6 weeks to get yourself ready to go?
Well, the first thing is to get better in every aspect of the game. The second thing is to get ready for day one. I think we've done a good job of putting an emphasis this year on April to not dig ourselves a little hole to get out to a faster start. So whether it comes down to having more at-bats this spring, to having more on the side field, whatever it needs to be, just to make sure all of us are kind of firing from the day one on.
Does Tito or Millsy, do you guys meet together in your meetings, and does he ask you how many at-bats do you want this spring?
Yeah, he does, and he'll monitor it too along the way. He'll ask me how I'm feeling, if guys need days off, if guys need extra bats, if he only wants to get you in there for 5 innings and you're like, hey, I'll play the 6 because I'm coming in around on the order, then he's all right with that. So he's good at being flexible in that stuff.
Davis pops one to right. Bruce makes the catch, and he's got a tremendous arm, but he overshoots everybody. Finnegan there smartly to back it up, and the runners have to hold at first and third.
No, that's the one thing. You come out early in spring training as an outfielder, your arm's not ready to go, and he made 2 throws in a row. One was okay. The second one, he was trying to get it all the way in the air, but a nice job of backing up by Finnegan.
Now here's Yan Gomes coming up for the Indians now. Kip, how important do you think it is for this club to have a healthy Yan Gomes maybe for most of the season? We don't want to put any expectations, but obviously missing a big chunk early hurt the team.
You can't help injuries. His big thing for us that he does so well is behind the plate, managing the staff. With catchers, if you get hitting out of it too, it's a plus. We saw what he's capable of 2 years ago. We know what a healthy Yan can do. So we're really looking forward to him now. He says he's feeling great. He looks great. And it's kind of just a mindset, getting back to being healthy and playing every day. You're not thinking about your injury. You're not thinking about other stuff that's bothering you.
Well, and before, if you have an injury, you want to come back early. And players have a tendency to jump back as soon as they can, especially when you're trying to win. And you can get yourself in bad habits because truly, sometimes you're not really ready to come back.
No, I think one of the worst things that happened to me in 14 with the oblique, I went down for a couple games. The start of my rehab stint, got him.
Up and in. Gomes will take his base.
We just said healthy Yan.
Yeah, right. He gets hit.
Let's not jinx it again. I think when I went down in Columbus, I hit a home run, and everyone thinks you're fine after that.
Yeah.
And it was just might have been just a one swing or where the pitch was or something like that. But I think even I used that into my case and pleaded them to let me come up faster than I might have been ready for. So it happens. You're so eager to get back from sitting. You feel like you're not part of the team because you're on a different schedule than them. You're in the mornings earlier than they are. And you're kind of done by the time everybody else gets there. So you're just kind of wanting to be back part of the team and play the games again. So you're finding any ways to use that as reasoning to rush back.
I think Gomes did that last year as well. He wanted to get back. He was so eager to get back. He missed about 6 weeks of baseball. And it's so easy. When you're a young player, I mean, you want to play. I'm fine. But the rigors of an everyday guy is not an easy thing to do. And if you're Gomes, especially behind home plate. Yeah.
Lonnie Chisenhall banged into a double play his first time up, hits a roller to second base. Phillips goes to short, and they'll turn the double play. So that gets him out of the inning. The Indians had a chance to get on the board and put the pressure on Cincinnati, but the Reds scored free. Kip, thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Here at Goodyear, the Cincinnati Reds lead the Indians 3-1 as we go to the fourth inning. Matt Underwood, Rick Manning from inside our broadcast booth here at Goodyear Ballpark. We're going to go back to Cleveland here in just a couple of minutes and visit with our buddy Bruce Drennan. He's going to be back on the air with a brand new show.
Just starting today.
Well, he's had 6 weeks to get this thing rolling, so it better be good, Bruce. We're going to talk to Bruce here in a few minutes, but back to action here on the field. So, Bruce, are you ready to go?
I love you, Cleveland.
I guess that answers our question.
You're ready to go.
Yeah, we're
Bruce,
excited about it, guys.
What are some of the changes fans can expect?
Well, we really are excited about the new show. We are going to be in our new time slot, 4:30 to 6:30. So during the regular season, with a normal Eastern starting time at 7, we'll be preceding the game and Indians Live with Alan Jensen. And then here in spring training, when you guys have had a weekday game, we'll follow with a 2-hour show, which is the case today, tomorrow, and Thursday.
All right, so looking forward to it. You've had a little time off. You were out here for spring training. How'd it go for you?
I really enjoyed it. I'm so excited about the pitching. And obviously, that's a well-hit ball there.
All right, Jay Bruce with a solid double to straightaway center field over the head of Tyler Naquin. Leading off this fourth inning. Yeah, that's going to bring up Adam Duvall. And fly to right. His only time up back in the second inning. So Bruce, new studio, new setup. I mean, what other changes should we expect in the program?
Well, a lot of video, and Ashley Collins is going to play a much bigger role. We'll still take calls. We're going to do a lot of interviews. We're going to have Jensen Lewis live in the studio today after our telecast this afternoon, and so we're really looking forward to a more structured program, and the fans will play a major part as always. And again, very excited to coincide with the start of the baseball season. As I started to say, how do you not love this pitching of the Indians? And what a battle for that 5th spot is in store for us here in the spring.
Well, no doubt Josh Tomlin, who we feel may get the heads up. But you never know. Cody Anderson pitching tomorrow, who will get the start for the Indians. That should be a nice battle because that kid's in camp and in shape and ready to go as well.
You know, I had a nice long chat with Anderson before the Indians-Reds charity outing last Friday. He was in the group in front of us, and as you know, Arch, we were delayed in getting started. Boy, does he look great. He really worked out in the offseason, and he's got such a great attitude about realizing that he's in a fight with Tomlin, but he's such a team guy. Really refreshing.
It truly is, because you know what, he got a taste of the big leagues, and he doesn't want to go back down to that minor league meal money. Man, he wants to stay right where he's at because he did a nice job in his own right for being a rookie.
You darn right he did.
There's also something to be said with regards to baseball players, and maybe it's just the way the game is played. There's a different maybe mentality than say in football. The ball gets away and down to second base goes Duvall. You look at third base, Rick, for example. On the outside looking in, you would say, boy, Giovanni Urshela might be kind of irritated. Maybe he's ticked off because the Indians went out and signed Juan Uribe, and maybe that was going to be his spot. But that's not the case at all. Urshela knows that, you know, down the line, this is his spot, and Uribe's already come in and told him, hey, you keep working hard. You do your job. You're going to be part of this thing.
Well, he didn't earn it last year. Urshela did. He came up and he had a nice job defensively, but you've got to hit as a third baseman, and you know, you've got to earn that job. So the Indians felt they needed some help, you know, and let him go down and get maybe some more seasoning in the minor leagues. We'll see, and they know that. I mean, as a young kid, you've got to fight for it to get up there and earn it. And I mean, to produce and be an everyday ball player, you've got to do it. At this level, you're going to have to hit for some power and drive in runs.
And to Bruce's point about the starting rotation, Cody Anderson, Josh Tomlin, T.J. House, they're all dueling or vying for that spot in the starting rotation. But, I mean, look, whoever loses out, there'll be some disappointment. It's not like they're going to be doing handstands. Hey, I didn't win the job. But they're going to feel good for the guy who won it, and they're going to go down and do their job knowing that at some point they'll be counted on this year.
Let's remember, just because you break camp with the Indians doesn't mean it's going to stay that way. Usually April is a strange month. It's a
cruel month.
You know, and Bruce, as you know, you've been out here. I think the biggest question mark is going to be in the outfield this year for the Indians. What do you feel?
Oh, yeah. It's very unfortunate to hear that news about Almonte. But with Brantley, especially figuring to miss the first month, hopefully not much more than that. But picking up Venable, I mean, who knows? Maybe he can pick up the slack.
Well, they have a number of guys that they're gonna turn to, and that's, I think, going to be the one job where Francona's got his work cut out for him, is trying to find the outfielders. You know, he can only take so many. He likes to have his 7 relief pitchers. You know, so it's going to be interesting to see if they can tread water that first month and play around that 500 mark without Michael Brantley.
Well, and the other part about Brantley is that it's not just the injury. It's not just getting back to feeling 100%. But once he gets to that point where the shoulder feels good enough to go, how long does he need then, in your mind, Rick, do you think, before he's game ready?
Well, these guys are in such good shape. He can do just about everything. The one thing I like, it's not his throwing shoulder, it's his opposite shoulder, so that should certainly help. He could throw and do everything right now. It's a matter of just hitting is going to be the tough thing. And Michael Brantley could hit in his sleep. So if anybody can come back quickly from it, I would think he would, you know, because he's ready to go. Just a matter of, you're coming off surgery. You can't forget that.
Well, Bruce, just so you know, Michael came in, it was dry swings at first, then he graduated hitting off a tee. He's now progressed to doing short flips, a soft toss, if you will, and then the next step after that would be eventually getting to where he can hit some batting practice. And then, once you get past that, as Rick knows, it'll be probably, as long as the shoulder feels good and strong, getting into some games. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility, right? I'm not saying it's likely, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that he's on this ball club early in April.
Yeah, who knows? You can't rush it, and I hope they don't rush it. We just talked to Kipnis about it 2 years ago. He said he tried to come back a little quickly, and I think Gomes did last year. I think they're going to use that. And when Michael's ready, he'll come back and be ready to go.
He's a beautiful ball player. He really is.
Jr. with the bases loaded.
Yeah, he's fun to watch. He's every day, and he does it nonchalantly. You take him for granted.
Rick, you mentioned it's going north with 7. It wouldn't surprise me if Tito goes with 8. And that's another. The bullpen looks tremendous.
The base hit in the left field by DeJesus Jr. That drives home Jay Bruce. Base is still loaded.
Well, the only thing is that, for the first part of the season, you may not need 5 starters. And that 5th starter may be used out of the bullpen. So you could always go down there and get a bullpen guy when you need. I think they'd look more, and like we say, it's early in the spring, to look for some offense than they would as that extra pitching.
Well, I had the
Ross Detweiler yet to retire a batter.
Up close and personal look at those pitchers going through their bullpen sessions when I was down there with you guys. This Manship has got great stuff. Boy, did he look good.
He had a very good year for the Indians last year. Came out of nowhere, and hopefully he can repeat something like that. Obviously, he may not be as good, but he certainly did a great job for him.
Well, he's a tremendous, story when you consider, Rick, the history of this franchise and all the great relievers. Nobody that's pitched the minimum number 30, of innings that he did has a lower ERA.
Right.
So I mean, he's hoping to have a similar role to last year. He said, hey, look, I know the guys in the back end of the bullpen, they've kind of got those roles locked down. So he's looking to be able to contribute in maybe that similar role again this season. But boy, the Indians have really brought in reinforcements to compete in the bullpen.
Well, it seems like every year every team does. You see spring training with about 60 guys in camp for everybody. I mean, we're looking around and we see names that we recognize that are with Cincinnati. They were with, the Indians a couple of years ago, like a Blake Wood and things like that. Guys just rotate around, it seems like, every year.
Well, we're looking at a guy right here, Ross Detweiler, who's been with the Nationals. We saw him with Texas. He's been with Atlanta. And, now he's in camp with the Indians, trying to open some eyes and maybe earn a spot, or at least get an opportunity to be seen by somebody else. And the Indians have a number of people. Jabba Chamberlain, veteran we've seen for years. He's trying to be part of this bullpen. You've got guys like Tommy Hunter and Craig Stamen are coming back from injuries that are trying to
won't be ready until May.
Right. So I mean, there are lots of competition. Ground ball to short, backhanded by Gonzalez, goes to second.
Nice
There's one.
play.
And Michael Martinez in the pivot turns 2. Reds do get another run. And now a runner at third with 2 down here in the 4th inning.
Really nice play here. Martinez goes over and makes the backhanded throw and makes a good off-balance throw to Martinez at second, and he turns it easily. They needed that badly. A nice double play, although they get another run home. That double play, you'll trade it every time. Give up that one and get the 2.
Now, Eric Gonzalez is one of those young infielders that the Indians have been developing. He's kind of come up along the same lines as Jose Ramirez and Francisco Lindor. He's only 24 years old. Last year got to AAA. He's hit pretty much everywhere he's been in the organization. 2 years ago hit .357 at Akron. Last year hit .280 at Akron. Last year got that first jump to AAA. Only hit .223. And so, I mean, there's an adjustment that has to be made. But defensively, you can already see he's got the skill level.
Well, so does this guy named Lindor here that's playing with the Indians.
That could be a problem for him. You've got somebody kind of standing there in front of you.
Yeah. You've got some guy we had a chance to see last year that's pretty darn good.
Well, Bruce, you were out here. I mean, Francisco Lindor just has that charisma that you can't teach.
Yeah, he really is fun to watch, and just think he's in the infancy of what could be a marvelous career. I'm amazed he adapted so quickly, so easily, so comfortably when he did come up. And I thought the Indians were very wise in holding him back, because last spring when I was down there, he was ready defensively, but they still had to, smooth out the rough edges at the plate. So when he did come up, he was ready.
Well, that's all I ever heard, is that this kid could play defensively at the big league level. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, let's get him up here and see. Boy, but when he came up, it took him about 100 at-bats to get a feel for the big leagues. And, boy, did he adapt well. He drove the ball much better than I ever thought on both sides of the plate, right and left.
Detweiler strikes out Jake Cave to end the inning, but Cincinnati tacks on 2 more. Thanks a lot, Bruce. Good luck with the new show coming up after the ball game here on Sports Time Ohio. It's 5-1. All right, we're back here. 5-1 is our score.
Well, live Indians baseball is back in 2016 with MLB.com at bat on your smartphone or tablet. You can stay connected with live radio broadcasts, stats, breaking news, and more. Download the #1 app for live baseball. That's MLB.com at bat.
All right, we go now to the bottom of the 4th. And Cincinnati leads it 5-1 after back-to-back innings in which they scored a couple of runs, 2 in the 3rd, 2 in the 4th. For the Indians here in the home half of inning number 4, it will be Carlos Santana, Joey Butler, and Tyler Naquin due up. We're probably getting to that point in the game where we start to see a lot of the changes.
Well, I know Cingrani's going to be on the mound now for Cincinnati.
Left-hander Tony Cingrani is the 3rd pitcher of the afternoon for Cincinnati.
By Thursday, we should have a pretty good idea about both these organizations and their young players, because we're going to be televising tomorrow as well as Thursday, the first 3 games out of the chute.
And like a regular season 3-game series, it's Cleveland against Cincinnati, all 3 games. And that's unusual in spring training. You normally don't see the same team consecutively, or especially 3 games in a row.
Well, when you share out here, that's one thing you do more so than you do in Florida because of the dual facilities out here. But
Santana down on a heap after he fouled that ball on his front leg.
First day in spring training, you got to call a tow truck.
He wears that protective shin guard. Take another look to see where it got him.
Oh, that's high up there. That's it looked like it hit the padding, didn't it? Or maybe a little bit above it.
Looked like it got it right at the top of the padding.
He put it in the right spot. You know, I look at the schedule right now, and I see the Indians and Reds will meet 4 straight days in May. They will play in Cleveland on the 16th and 17th of May, a Monday and Tuesday, and we'll go down to Cincinnati and play Wednesday and Thursday. So again, it's a 2-2, and we're not going to get a chance to see him on the weekend.
Now Santana appears to be okay, stays in the game. Down to the count 0-2. Up and away. Santana homered to right field in the second inning. That was off the right-hander, the starter John Mosket, with Santana batting from the left side. Chases one up high and strikes out, one away. This was that home run swing back in the second inning.
Yeah, he had a little swinging room with a pitch out over the plate. He got the barrel ahead of the bat out in front and got out of here in a hurry. That's the only run the Indians have put on the board, a solo home run to lead off the second.
That's one thing that you do see here in spring training, whether you're watching just batting practice or sometimes in a spring training game. Especially if you get any kind of a breeze going, when the ball really flies out here.
Yeah, it sure does. It's hitter's paradise. I don't think pitchers like it a whole lot. Don't know if defenders like it because the infields are a little quicker. The fields are tremendous. Don't get me wrong, but the sun, as hot as it's been, it bakes that dirt out there, and it's almost like playing on AstroTurf.
Rick, I was watching Tyler Naquin the other day during batting practice. Now, Naquin, who's the on-deck hitter, he's got good power. It's not that he can't hit home runs.
Not a power hitter.
He's not a big guy. He's not one of these Goliaths. He hit a ball over the center field, not over the center field wall, but over the center field, the batter's eye backdrop. I mean, I don't know what the distance on a home run ball like that would be, but it was getting
it doesn't matter. He's a line drive hitter, and he'll be a gap hitter.
Joey Butler chases and strikes out, 2 down. Butler, of course, broke up Carlos Carrasco's no-hit bid in the 9th inning with 2 outs last year down in St. Petersburg, Florida. Now trying to make this club one of the guys in the mix, as is Tyler Naquin, who comes up here trying to win a spot on this club as either an everyday or an extra outfielder, depending on how the composition ultimately is made up.
You know, for Tyler, it's a point where you have to stay healthy and play a full year. It seems like that has bothered him more than anything coming up through the minor leagues, is the injuries.
Last year he had a quad strain that he suffered in spring training, so he got off to a late start. Then he had the concussion issue when he ran into an outfield wall. And then some hip soreness as well. So, I mean, yeah, you talk about trying to stay healthy. It was only 50 games total at AAA last year, combined with 34 at Akron. So, 84 games played last year for Tyler Naquin.
That's all part of the process as a young player coming up. Is you've got to, and you know what, injuries are going to happen no matter where you play, but you have to stay on the field. You can't elevate and rise through the minor league system if you're a high draft pick or you're a good player if you're not out there for most of the time.
Coming up on 4 years ago when he was the first round pick, 20th or 15th, okay, 15th overall selection by the Indians. He clobbers this one high in the air, deep right center field. Cave won't get it. It's off the wall and bounces over his head, and that's going to turn Naquin on his way to third base. He'll go in there easily with a 2-out triple.
Well, he smoked that ball and went about halfway up the wall, and he got out of the box, and it was fun to watch going around the bases because he realized once Bruce, he saw he was cruising after that ball and it bounced off the wall and past him, he was going to third base easily. It got over his head, and Naquin just continued to third base. I'm sorry, that was Cave in center field, and Bruce backed him up. But hit the ball very well. A pitch elevated in the strike zone. And look at him. He's going to go, put the head down, and continue to run.
Well, I mean, perfect strides around the bases, Rick. He never stuttered. I mean, it was absolutely perfect the way he ran the bags. Now Giovanni Urshela Knock in a run with 2 outs here in the 4th inning. Urshela grounded out his first time up, had a heck of an at bat. It had to be 10, 12, maybe 15 pitch at bat against the starter John Moscott before eventually Moscott got one in on him, broke his bat, and he grounded out. I think back to our conversation with Bruce last inning and talked about, maybe it turned out to be the best thing for Francisco Lindor. I know fans, everybody wanted to see him so badly. Maybe the organization made the right decision in waiting, giving him a little more time to season at AAA. And I think of Giovanni Urshela, who, as you pointed out, Rick, defensively, he was ready to go when he got to the big leagues last year, but offensively didn't really hit a lot. And so maybe it's not the worst thing in the world for Urshela to get some more time this year at AAA to get that bat, hopefully, up to speed.
Well, I think a lot of the times they're right before you try to rush a kid, but I think that goes around baseball now where they don't want to start the clock on a kid that's 20, 21 years old, at the big league level, unless they're absolutely sure he's going to come up and have an impact. So, and every club does it. It's not just one club. I mean, you see young players, they're going to keep them down for a while.
Well, everybody was screaming in Chicago last year because of big Chris Bryant.
Right.
But Lindor, it was worth the wait. I'll admit that without a doubt, the way he came on. And even though he struggled offensively, he told me the other day, because he had the coaches and players around him telling him, hey, you're going to be okay. Just continue. Because he was stinging the ball, just wasn't falling in. He wasn't getting the hits. But the approach, everything else looked good. And eventually the hits started to fall. And
well, he should be a very special kid.
Got him picked off at first.
Yes, he did. Nowhere to go. Wasn't paying attention.
So that'll end the inning. A couple of strikeouts, a walk, a hit, but no runs for the Indians. 5-1 Cincinnati after 4.
People ask me about mattresses all the time. They say, Robert, your family's been in the
from here in Goodyear for the Cactus League matchup between the Cleveland Indians and the Cincinnati Reds. Cody Anderson slated to make the start at 3 o'clock right here on the home of the Indians, Sports Time, Ohio. New pitcher for Cleveland, Austin Adams, will be the 4th pitcher to work here this afternoon. They'll face the 2, 3, and 4 spots in the Cincinnati order, and it looks like it will be the starters, Eugenio Suarez, Joey Votto, and Brandon Phillips. Austin Adams, hard thrower, and a fastball in there for a strike.
Yeah, we got to look at him last year. Spent some time up here. A good fastball in the mid-90s to go with a slider.
So check swing and a foul out of play. Nice catch.
Yes.
And brought the glove.
And he's in midseason form, a lefty. He's over on first base, and he's letting everybody know that's how you do it. Good play.
Adams delivers it up high. Jesus Aguilar takes over at first base for Carlos Santana. And Suarez takes a breaking ball, and he is locked up for strike 3.
Here's the slider from Adams. It's upstairs, but you get away with it because right now Suarez not looking for that breaking ball up there. You usually look for it down and away. Gets away with one and gets the strikeout. I've got to send along a very special hello that Tito wanted me to send out to. We got to say hi to Johnny Gurl down in Florida. Johnny spends, I don't know how many years he's been coming out for spring training for the Indians. I'm sure he's watching at home today. Johnny, Tito says we miss you. We'll see you soon, so hurry up and get out here.
I was shagging in the outfield the other day. I needed him out there to coach me up.
Well, Johnny was a third base coach when I played. He's meant so much to this Indians organization. We miss you, and hurry up and get out here, Johnny.
It doesn't seem like spring training if you don't see Johnny wandering on the fields,
no
leaning on the fungo bat.
One of the best ever.
Joey Votto walked in the first. He singled in the third. And a line drive base hit to the left side of the infield.
How pretty is that swing? Looks like he could do that almost any time he wants. You just sit up there, you let the ball track deep into the zone and just slap it the other way. It's not your pitch to pull. It's a ball down. It's going away. It's actually a pretty good pitch. Votto does a nice job. He stayed back on it nicely and serves it to left. Well, 10 hits now for the Reds.
He's a terrific player, and that's a big reason why Cincinnati, prior to the 2012 season, so you're going back 4 years ago, they gave him a 10-year contract extension, and it has a full no-trade provision.
Well, he says he's looking forward to, although they're going through transition and rebuilding over here, to staying over here and being the veteran to help some of these young players, work at becoming good major league players.
Brandon Phillips, an RBI single in the first. Banged into a double play his last time up. Might have hit into another one.
Sure did.
Martinez to Gonzalez, back to first. It's an inning-ending double play. Middle of the fifth here in Goodyear. It's Cincinnati 5, Cleveland 1.
Baseball summer is becoming a season ticket holder. You can choose from 8 different packages now with a 20-game plan. You'll get up to 12 games free when you buy 8. That's visit Indians.com. That's season tickets for more details.
The new pitcher for Cincinnati is former Indians relief pitcher Blake Wood. Another guy with a terrific arm. He also pitched previously for Cincinnati. But his problems have always been just one of, can he harness it? I mean, the ability's there. You've seen, the power in the arm, but harnessing it consistently, I guess, would be his biggest challenge. Eric Gonzalez, Michael Martinez, and Rajai Davis due up for the Indians. Foul off the bat of Gonzalez, who reached on an error his first time up. Pitch down low. During the offseason, one of the big stories that people around baseball were following was Cincinnati and the many moves they made. At the winter meetings, it was no secret that Cincinnati was trying to trade Aroldis Chapman. It sounded like they had a deal done at various points to the Los Angeles Dodgers. But then, while we were in Nashville, the story broke that Chapman was under investigation for a domestic violence issue. And so the trade talks seemed to fizzle, and no one was really sure what was going to happen with Aroldis Chapman. A lot of people speculated he may just wind up back with Cincinnati, but ultimately they traded him to the New York Yankees. As Gonzalez, solid single in the center field, gets the Indians their leadoff man aboard. And so eventually, when you look at the Yankees bullpen, it's going to set up pretty good with Aroldis Chapman in the back end of a bullpen that already is pretty good. But now it has officially come down here this afternoon that Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred has suspended Aroldis Chapman for 30 games under the baseball domestic violence policy for his involvement in the incident that's first surfaced last October.
And no appeal, correct? He's going to accept and it'll be a 30-game suspension.
His statement said that he has accepted the suspension. He will not appeal. He did go on to say he wanted to be clear that he did not in any way harm his girlfriend that evening. But he said, I should have exercised better judgment with respect to certain actions, and for that I am sorry. So if you read that as a fan, you might be, well, what exactly is he talking about? What exactly could that possibly mean? And Rob Manfred said, look, we did our own investigation on this deal.
Right.
As this ball's fouled out of play. And Rob Manfred had his own comments, and basically saying, look, we acknowledge, and Aroldis has acknowledged that his conduct on that day was inappropriate under the negotiated policy, particularly his use of a firearm during the incident and the impact of his behavior on the girlfriend. So,
well, and there's a couple other cases pending now. Reyes,
Reyes.
Over with the Rockies, he's going to, I think, miss spring training. Not from a suspension. He's just going to step aside. He's still got to go through his hearing, I would believe.
And Yasiel Puig has an issue pending as well. Reyes was placed on paid leave last week. He's facing a charge stemming from an incident in Hawaii back in October, and Puig is looking at action from a reported altercation with his sister and a bouncer at a Miami nightclub last November. So, unfortunately, these things have nothing to do with the game on the field, but they are part of the new policy for baseball, and the commissioner is handing out the penalties. A strike to Rajai Davis, who is 0 for 2. He has struck out and he has flied out. Eric Gonzalez singled to start the inning, but Michael Martinez popped up to right field. Davis, one of those guys you get excited just being around him. He's a high energy player. We've seen that just watching him with opposing clubs, but you spend a few minutes around him, you can see why he's been around the game as long as he has, because people like him.
Yeah.
It's fun to be around.
Well, he's an energy player. And, you know, whether he hits first or he could hit ninth in this lineup, depending Terry wants to lead off, whether it's Jason Kipnis or whatever. But he could float him around because even though he's in his mid-30s, he could still run, he could still steal bases. And he's the guy that ended up sliding into home plate and hurt Yan Gomes 4 games into the season, if you remember back home.
Gonzalez runs, swing and a miss, throw is high, and Gonzalez has a stolen base. Gonzalez is in scoring position, but now there are 2 down as Davis strikes out on the play. And the batter is Adam Moore. Moore taking over for Yan Gomes, who singled his first time up, was hit by a pitch in his second at bat. And you know, Terry told me the other day, one of the reasons a lot of times I like to bat my catcher second is to get him opportunities, get him, you know, the at bats. Usually, as Rick said, he wants his catchers, at least here at the outset, to each catch 3 innings of these first set of games, so they get some playing time. He said it takes a while for catchers, you know, among position players. They're the hardest to get into game ready shape because they've got to get used to squatting, you know, into the uncomfortable position that they're going to find themselves in.
I would hate to be a catcher in spring training because you catch bullpens. You get all these guys that have to throw and do this. You block balls. You have to look up into the sun and catch balls. The last thing they do is hit. You know, so I can see where Terry says, here, I'm going to hit him second, get him some at-bats. They work so hard through spring training, and a lot of times that's why when they bring 5 or 6 different catchers to big league camp, they have a lot of work to do, and it's all because of the pitching.
Swung out and missed. You know, it's one thing for us during a ball game to watch a catcher sacrifice his body, throw it in front of a pitch that's in the dirt. When you watch these guys go through that drill, when you're standing 10 feet away and watch them put the ball in a pitching machine that pops out of there
fun,
80, 90 miles an hour, and they've got to throw their body in front of it. Oh, my.
Yeah, it's bouncing off their forearms,
right,
their biceps, and everything that is unprotected.
The 2-1. Moore smokes it to deep left. Back goes Duvall. It's over his head. It'll one-hop the fence, and scoring on the play is Gonzalez. Into second base with a 2-out RBI double is Moore. And the Indians close the gap to 5-2 here in the 5th inning.
We'll put a very good swing on that baseball and jumps off his bat. There's one, he left one right in the middle of the plate. I don't know if that was a changeup. I didn't think it was a fastball, but he gets over the head of Duvall and left. It'll go for a double. It'll give Chisenhall a chance. Now it's a 5-2 ball game.
Monty 0 for 2. Couple of ground balls that have turned into double plays. Down and in. Nice backhanded stab by the catcher, Tucker Barnhart. And Lonnie with a ground ball right at the second baseman, Phillips. And the inning is over. A run on 2 hits, 1 man left. We've played 5 in Goodyear at Cincinnati 5, Cleveland 2.
The Auto Show deals have arrived at
For the Cactus League opener between the Indians and the Reds. Cincinnati on top 5-2 as we roll on to the 6th inning. Matt Underwood, Rick Manning with you as we take a look at Felipe Paulino, who will be the new pitcher for Cleveland. They'll be facing the 5, 6, and 7 spots in the Cincinnati lineup, and those are all new guys coming into the on-deck circle. And with that, we go down to the Indians dugout, because coming out of the ball game after starting this afternoon is Rajai Davis. Thanks for joining us. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Definitely feel like I played though today.
Yeah, well, game 1 away. You got your first 5 innings in. That's a good start.
Oh, yeah.
Regardless of how it turns out.
Oh, yeah. It's nice to get your feet wet, get a couple of bats and see some live pitching.
Is it any different for you now at age 35 than when you were first starting out in these big league camp situations?
I think it is. I'm not really trying to do too much. I'm really preparing for the season as opposed to trying to make a team.
Well, and you know exactly what it takes to get yourself ready, and how many at-bats you're going to need throughout the course of the spring.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Tito's really good at, just communicating with us as the players, and, we'll let him know if we need a day or so. So it's really nice with working with Tito.
Well, you've had an opportunity, Rajai, to train in Arizona, to train down in Florida when you were with the Tigers. Is there anyone you like better?
Well, the travel, I'm going to say the travel here is absolutely the best.
Yeah, it's beautiful here.
Not too many long trips. I mean, especially if you have a family. You could actually have dinner with your family on the road here.
So I take it a thumbs up for Arizona.
Oh, it is definitely a thumbs up for me.
Ground ball to second base, and Felipe Paulino records the first out here in the 6th inning. Rajai, you've also been on the last 2 teams you played with. To my mind, I'm thinking about Detroit, obviously, and Toronto before that. Teams that have some pretty good power, some pretty good stout, deep lineups. What was it like playing on those clubs in the impact that you were able to have with those teams offensively?
Well, I was out there, just soaking it in, watching Miggy every day, Victor. These are some really good hitters at the major league level. I mean, the outstanding. Miggy, obviously, one of the best hitters all time. And just watching his routine every day, the most consistent man. You see why these guys are so successful. They have a routine, they stick with it, and they don't get away from it.
This ball's hit pretty well deep left center field. It's carrying, and it's going to carry into the bullpen.
Boy, did it ever.
An opposite field home run with 1 out here in the 6th inning to extend the Cincinnati lead.
All right, we were talking about today. What's it like fly ball wise out here picking it up in the outfield? You were in left today, but is it tough?
Well, I wasn't really sure because I didn't really get any balls out there, and didn't really get any opportunities to see how the ball was flying out and left. But it seemed like, the balls that were going to center and right center were carrying pretty good.
Well, you're going to get a chance to play left, not only left and center. And Tito said later in the spring, possibly right field. What's your favorite outfield position to play?
Man, as long as I'm out there helping us win.
It doesn't matter?
Yeah, that's all I want to be out there helping us win ball games.
Is there a difference, though, for you? I mean, how the ball plays, does it depend on the park? Obviously, you think in Cleveland, you got the big wall in left field. There are some parks where, there are different configurations.
I think down here, the ball's going to carry a little bit more in Arizona. And Cleveland, it doesn't seem to carry as much, especially earlier in the year with that cold air, just pushing that ball down. I take a lot of advice from, Brantley. He's been playing it for a while, and the coaching staff, they know better than probably I do. So I'll be taking some advice from them and, going from there. Well,
you'll get an opportunity to play a little center field, and you won't have to turn around and look at 440 feet or 420 away. That was a poke in Detroit to try and run balls down out there, wasn't it?
Oh, you got that right. That's a big ballpark, and they got some big men over there trying to hit that ball down.
Yeah, that's true. You got to wear some your sneakers out there to get running.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely it's definitely good if you got a good running center fielder who can track down some balls. not so good if they're not fast.
Having sized up the competition in the Central Division for the last couple of years, playing with Detroit, you've seen the Indians, you've seen Kansas City, Minnesota, Chicago. Everybody says this might be the most competitive division in all of baseball. What do you think?
Well, I'm going to have to agree. It looks like, Chicago, they got better this offseason on paper, at least. They got some guys who can hit the ball, pitch, even, Kansas City, obviously, they're the reigning champs. So, they're going to be good. It's going to be a tough division, but, we're going to have to obviously pitch well, play good defense, and try to score more runs than the other team.
Thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it, Rajay.
Thanks, Pat.
Good luck to you this year. That's Rajay Davis. It is a 6-2 since. Car comes out west here to Las Vegas beginning on Saturday with Xfinity Series racing on FS1 as special guest Clint Boyer will be in the booth to call the action. Then Sunday, it's the Cobalt 400 at 3 Eastern on Fox and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Well, we head now to the home half of the 6th inning. And Chris O'Grady, the left-hander, coming on for Cincinnati. And for the Indians, Jesus Aguilar will lead it off. Aguilar takes right-handed batter. Obviously, he's shown some power at the minor league level. The question is, will it translate? Will he be able to make that step, the leap, if you will, and carry it over into the big leagues?
Well, a lot of it at the times that he has been at the big league level, he's never played on a consistent basis to try and find that out.
Grounded to third. And Aguilar retired one away. Chris O'Grady last year at AA Arkansas and then AAA Salt Lake. Over 45 appearances, was winless, but had an ERA very good at 3.28. Zach Walters takes a strike. Walters is a guy who, you don't necessarily think of him as being in the outfield competition because he's a utility guy that can play a number of different places, but potentially, depending on how things play out. Could certainly be considered in the mix. I think the thing for Zach is, health-wise, got to get back to 100%. We saw his power potential a couple of years ago. He takes a called third strike, 2 down.
Well, KeyBank Kids tickets start at just $10 for kids 12 and under with the purchase of an adult ticket. And kids tickets are located in the family deck out at Progressive Field, home to our expanded kids clubhouse. Tickets are only available at Indians.com.
Shane Robinson. Takes low, ball 1. Shane Robinson spent last year with the Minnesota Twins. Played in 83 games, hit .250. That's in the dirt. Before that, he was with the Cardinals. Two years ago, he had 4 different stints with St. Louis, so he was the yo-yo guy.
Which it seems like every club has. 3 or 4 times up and down, they take advantage of that option that they're using throughout the course of the year.
Swung out and missed. No, got a piece of it. So
we had the grounds crew already out on the field, heading out of the Indians dugout. They didn't hear the foul tip. They were ready to go.
You may remember Shane Robinson from last year in a game in August in Cleveland. He pitched a scoreless inning, becoming the 8th position player in Twins history to pitch in a game. Swung on and missed. That'll end the inning. 1-2-3. Go the Indians here in the 6th. Cincinnati leading at 6-2. We're in the 7th inning. Matt Underwood, Rick Manning, the man in the middle is Indians president, baseball operations, Chris Antonetti. He's going to join us this inning as we continue our spring training coverage here on Sports Time Ohio. Obviously, always fun to get back to work, kind of get underway, and first game, get a lot of the first out of the way.
Yeah, it's great to get back on the field. You spend all winter trying to put together a team, figure out who's going to be here. It's nice to actually see them play. Although I'd prefer if the results were a little bit different, but that's okay.
For game 1, it's just nice to get it started. Of course, we're not going to win them all. We're not going to lose them all. this great camp with everybody healthy.
Amen. I'm on board with that.
Well, and I think Terry Francona said the other day he thought it was he paid you a compliment as far as staying persistent, not reacting with emotion, which could probably be the worst thing for a general manager when you go through an off season. But he said, you were persistent when it came to guys like Mike Napoli and Juan Uribe, and eventually it paid off, and you were able to get those guys signed in Indians uniforms, and hopefully be big contributors this year.
Yeah, all three guys we signed in, Rajai Davis, Mike Napoli, and Juan Uribe, were guys we targeted at the very beginning of the offseason. We thought they fit our roster really well in terms of the skills that they brought to the table, but probably as importantly, each guy brings a unique element to the clubhouse that fits really well with our chemistry. So we're really thankful that we were able to get them done.
Yeah, all right-handed hitters for another thing.
Yep, right-hand hitters. And the guys in the infield both are good defenders. Napoli's really worked himself into being a very good defender at first base. Uribe's been an outstanding defender at third for the last handful of years, and Davis gives us a lot of flexibility where he can play any of the outfield spots.
Was it a different market this year, Chris, as far as, there's still free agents out there that are available? I mean, did it make it any different on your end?
Yeah, each year there are a few, you know that there are going to be a few guys available late at the end of the year. You just never know who they're going to be or what quality of free agents they're going to be. This year it does seem like there were more quality free agents available later than in a typical year.
And you still have some that are you could possibly sign. I mean, to me, that hasn't happened in a long, long time.
That's true. Yeah.
Sean Morimondo is a former Indians 19th round pick. Back in 2011, has worked his way up the ranks last year at Double-A Akron. Spent the entire season there. He's a left-hander, so Chris, is there a chance that you're looking at him as a potential big league bullpen guy, or is he strictly a starter in your mind?
For right now, a starter. Sean's in camp. He's one of those younger guys. It's his first major league spring training. He's here just to get some experience, learn some things from the guys in camp, and then get ready for the start of his season. So he's got a lot to learn. He's got a great future in front of him, but hopefully he can take advantage of his time in camp and build a good foundation heading into the season.
To me, that's almost the overwhelming aspect of a spring training when you walk in and you see 60 players, 20 of them non-roster invitees. A final Major League Baseball roster is 25 guys, so you have a lot of people to look at, and a month might seem like a long time to most people, but it's really not.
It's not. I think, and Tito's talked about this before, and I think I may have highlighted it too. Really, there are three different segments of players in camp. There's the group of guys that just getting ready, the major league players that have been there in the past that are getting ready for the season. You have a group of young guys like Sean Morimondo who are getting just some exposure. They're really not in the competition, but they're really here to get some experience, learn a little bit, and then start their minor league seasons. Then there's that other middle group of guys that are competing for spots. And it's usually about a third, and a third. And this year we've got a lot of competition for spots in the bullpen and the outfield.
Yeah. With some of these guys they're invitees over into this spring, do they have these guys have some outs in their contracts before the season starts, or maybe a month after the season starts?
That's one of the trade-offs when you bring in guys that have had a lot of major league success in the past, guys like Java Chamberlain or Tom Gorzolani, guys that have had success. Part of the trade-off is you have to give them the ability to opt out in the event they don't make our team. But each of those guys will have the ability to opt out at some point. Some of those are at the end of spring training. Others are sometime during the season.
Boy, terrific job by the Indians to turn two as they go around the horn. 5-4-3 on the double play to end the inning. Sean Morimondo puts up a scoreless half inning. We'll continue with Chris Antonetti when we come back.
Ohio is a standing room only ticket that includes your first drink. You can grab some friends and catch the game from the corner, and the new drink rails in left field. District tickets are only available online. Go to Indians.com. And there's going to be a few changes there this year. As far as the scoreboard goes, the new bar behind home plate. How's that going?
It's actually progressing really well. I'm excited to see it when we get back. It's going to create an entirely new experience for our fans. I think once they see the scoreboard and exactly what it can bring, they'll really appreciate the different experience, both in the scoreboard and the sound system.
Yeah, I heard the audio is
unbelievable.
Yeah,
it really will make a big difference.
New seating area behind home plate, or I should say standing room only area behind home plate. And also in left field in the corner, there was a sort of a pie-shaped area of seating. Those seats are gone, and now there'll be some standing room area out there as well.
There will be some standing room area there. Then we'll open up the concourse again, a lot like we did on the right field side. We'll open up the concourse on the left field side, and it creates a much more open atmosphere. It brings you immediately into the ballpark, even from the concourse.
You know, speaking of change, this is your first spring training, and gosh, I lost track of the years. 20 years without a Mark Shapiro.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, does it feel different with Mike Chernoff now as the general manager, you're president of baseball operations? Does it feel any different than in the past?
On a personal level, it does, just because of how closely Mark and I had worked alongside each other for so long. But in terms of how we actually operate, Mark was phenomenal in empowering us and giving us the opportunity.
Wow, it sure did. That was a heck of a bolt.
Boy, he just hit it high and let it fly.
Yeah, Eric Steinmetz hit one. It scraped the clouds as it went down that left field area. And it does get out of here for the solo home run. Second solo shot by Cleveland here today.
That ball just kept carrying. He got underneath it, and it had that kind of spin on it. And you can see he jumped up to make an attempt, and it was just over the glove and out of here.
Well, it was Schebler who just hit a home run last inning for Cincinnati. Now he's trying to rob one. It makes it a 6-3 ball game. So not to interrupt your thought there, but
yeah, so so in that respect, it's different just not having a close friend that I've worked with for 17 plus years. But in terms of how we actually operate on the baseball side, it's not practically that much different, because Mark was phenomenal in empowering us to really lead on the baseball side, and he was there as an advisor when we needed it, but really gave us the opportunity to lead.
And now, how do you interact with Mike? Is that any different than in years past?
Not really. I think the changes are a reflection of how we operate. We operate and lead as a leadership group, and I think the additional titles for Mike and Derek specifically is a reflection of really how we function. And they're involved in every aspect of baseball operation and have been for the last few years. So this is more a recognition of that than a significant change in the way we operate. Plus, he promised me I would never have to go on TV and radio, and I'm not sure what happened. That was part of the deal.
Yeah, we're his attorney today. So he's got
exactly.
We're trying to get him some face time.
Right. Well, one slight change on the coaching staff. Mike Barnett takes over as a video replay specialist, and then he'll also interact with some of the hitters, I think, as well.
Yep. A couple things with the addition of Mike Barnett and Scott Atchison. Mike Barnett's a guy that Tito's known for a long time. He was his hitting coach with him in the minor leagues, going back 15 plus years.
Back when Michael Jordan played on the team, right?
Exactly. So they've had a great history together. Barney's a really good baseball guy, great humility, great work ethic, really good knowledge of hitting. I actually worked with Yan Gomes some this winter together in the offseason, so we're really excited to add him to the staff. And then Scott Atchison, who we all know earned an incredible amount of respect in his time with us as a player and has got a lot to offer as a coach. And those two members will hopefully help us navigate the Major League season and help our players and staff prepare for upcoming opponents.
Now, you sure Atch doesn't want to come back and maybe try and pitch if you need him?
I've joked with him about it. We actually at our opening meeting, we had a staff meeting. It's Atch's first staff meeting. We part of what we do for each player is we talk about the player. We bring up some video of them. So we'll bring up Yan Gomes and put up some video of Yan Gomes from last year. So during one of the breaks, we came back and we put up Atch. Tito stopped the meeting and said, "Hey, you know what? with Atch here, we thought we'd put up some video, and we just showed him giving home run after home run, hard hit double. Said, no wonder you're a coach. So, but he was a great pitcher for for us, and did a phenomenal job. And great person, great baseball mind, and we're thrilled to have him in the organization. So.
Only Terry would welcome him that way, right? Have a video montage cut up of all your dingers.
He did. He did the same thing with Kevin Cash his first year. He showed him all his swings and misses, which I guess were easy to find.
For a lot.
Yeah, he was known as
early and often.
Yeah, defense first catcher.
Robbie Grossman on the ball that gets away goes into scoring position.
Yeah, base hit right back into this one.
Second and third, nobody out. And Guillermo Quiroz is the batter. Cuts and misses, and the count quickly 0-2. Quiroz last year in AAA. Signed as a minor league free agent less than a month ago. Hit hard to third. Backhanded stop, nicely made. And now Grossman hung up. He's going to try to get back to second base. And he loses his footing and be tagged out. Indians do pick up another run.
There's a ball where he thought it was going to get down the line. It was a nice play at third base to stab that ball. And really his only play, Pacheco, was just to look for somebody, and he saw the runner coming down the third baseline and caught him. He slips, they get the out, but they do get a run home, making it 6-4 game, excuse me.
Going to bring up James Ramsey. You know, kind of picking up on what Rick was talking about before, you guys have never been afraid to offer opportunities to former players, whether it be a guy like Jason Giambi, who came to camp for a while as a special advisor, or Bruce Chen, who's come in here, and all of the special assistants over the years, from Tim Belcher to Jason Bray, who's now a bullpen coach. Why has that been so important to this organization?
Well, those guys have a wealth of experience to share, not only with us as a front office, but other players. And oftentimes they're looking for a way to stay involved in the game and maybe not yet fully ready to commit to coaching or a full-time position. So it's been one of those relationships that has made a lot of sense, for us, that we've been able to tap into some incredible expertise like Jason Giambi and his history. To have him part of the organization still and be around during spring training is a huge plus for us. And then in Jason's case, it gives him the opportunity to still stay connected without having to maybe leave his family for a whole season.
Yeah,
so it's a really good balance.
Can't do it for a whole year, but wants to stay in the game and be a part of it. And that could be a very good in for these guys.
Absolutely. And I think what we try to do is have a variety of different perspectives and different experiences and opinions that help shape not only our decision-making process, but our culture and our environment. And so to keep guys like that not only have had a lot of success, but do things the right way, is a really meaningful thing for us organization.
No, I think it's awesome that baseball connects so many different generations. We've got John McDonald in camp, who was playing just as recently as a couple of years ago. He's going to be an infield coordinator throughout the minor leagues. And now down at 8-ball in Lake County, you've got Steve McCaddy, former teammate of Archie's, who's going to be pitching.
I played against him, but it was nice to get him. He's been the Nationals pitching coach the last couple of years.
Yeah. Chris, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it.
I'm going to let you go.
I was going to wait a second.
You can go this time. All right.
Great seeing you guys.
Cincinnati.
Thanks for the time.
You got it. and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians. (6-4) Cincinnati as we go to the 8th inning now. Adam Plutko, 24-year-old right-hander, will come on now for the Indians. He was an 11th round pick just 3 years ago. Last year made his way to Double-A Akron, where he went 9-5 with a 2.86 ERA and 19 starts. High pop, shallow left. Plutko last year, Rick, gave up 20 fewer hits than innings pitched.
Hard to do down in the minor leagues. Good job.
The Indians are high on Plutko as far as the way he's advanced. He's 6'3", 200 pounds. Between Plutko and Clevenger, and then depending on how fast Brady Aiken recovers, he Tommy John surgery a little over a year ago, or maybe not quite a year ago, but Terry Francona and I were watching him throw down on a minor league bullpen session one day, and he looked pretty free and easy from where he's at. But with those 3 young guys, the Indians feel like they not only they have good starting pitching now, but they've got some guys that are rapidly ascending too.
Yeah, Clevenger is the guy you hear about. He's got the moss to pitch on the Mets, doesn't he? He's got that. I saw him and I went, who is that? I said, I like that.
The flowing locks.
No doubt. Well, maybe we'll get a chance. I got to check and see when we'll get a chance to see him pitch.
I imagine we'll see him at some point in the next 3 days. Almost everybody is going to have to pitch.
Terry, no question.
I believe there are 21 pitchers in camp.
That's about the same amount of outfielders too. Yeah, they have 12.
Well, at some point it'll be interesting to talk with Mickey Callaway, and certainly he has a great staff that he works with. Jason Bray, the bullpen coach. We mentioned Scott Atchison is going to be with the ball club and helping out as well here in spring camp. But it's got to be tough to keep track of that many different pitchers every day.
Obviously, you get your work done before you come in, and you get guys on that, their program or what you have written out for them, and you go with it. And you sort of have to wait and see how arms feel, because you go through periods where some guys have some dead arms, things like that. You have to adjust and always on the fly. So it's not an easy thing to do when you have that many people and you've got to get that many innings. But that's when B games come about.
Yeah.
And you can schedule some B games with Cincinnati, like we went and watched a few last year. 10 o'clock in the morning. You need guys to eat up some innings, whether they're starters or relievers, and get your work in.
To this point, Terry Francona said that he didn't have anything scheduled for a B game. That ball's plugged in the gap left center field.
Oh, there'll be one before you know it.
But Terry said basically it'll come down to if Mickey Callaway feels like they need a B game for the pitchers, then he said we'll make it work on the position player side. It sounds like there are a ton of position players in camp, but when you start dividing it up and start thinking about playing 2 games in one day.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing to do.
Not as many numbers as you think. Yeah.
Well, spring training is dictated by pitching, and that's who you have to get ready, and that's why you're here for the long time. If they need the innings, they'll work it. They'll get the B games in, and they'll force the position players to get out there. Maybe a long day for them, but they'll work their way through it.
2 down, runner in scoring position. Scott Schebler homered his last time up. In the dirt, gets away from Quiroz, but the runner holds at second base. Schebler was part of that trade that sent Todd Frazier to the Chicago White Sox. It was a 3-team deal. Schebler came from the Dodgers. But certainly it was a big trade in the offseason. And I suppose it was big from our standpoint in that the Indians were rumored to be one of the teams talking to Cincinnati about acquiring Todd Frazier. But look, at the end of the day, Rick, it seemed like anybody the Indians talked to, they were asking about the starting pitching, and the Indians just kind of drew a line in the sand, like, we're not going to trade our starting pitching.
Well, in a way, I can't blame them, because, you know, if you give one of them up, you can't go out on the market and try and buy one, because the price on pitching was just, it got out of control this year. So I totally understand, but still, if it wasn't the pitching, then they're looking at their 2 young, you know, some outfielders in the minor leagues that are their last #1 picks.
Yeah, a guy like Bradley Zimmer,
Frazier,
or somebody says Francisco Lindor. You know, it's like, well, then you're right back to square one again.
Well, it has to be, and then again, if you make a trade and you do give up a pitcher, it has to be for more than 1 or 2 years, because you have those pitchers under control.
Yeah.
And under control with a very good price tag attached to it. I mean, if you're going to give up one of them, then you've got to get a really nice package in return that has a bright upside. Well, and who knows? I mean, Chris can tell you. I mean, these guys can ask for anything they want.
Oh, sure. That's
nobody knows. I mean, it's all speculation on what teams are asking for, and you try and work into. And we've talked to Chris before when we've had him on prior springs. To try and bring in a 3rd team into the deal is not an easy thing to do when it comes to a trade.
It's infinitely more complicated.
Right.
But as we all know, anybody who's watching this that's ever gone in to buy a car, or who has purchased a home, negotiating is part of the process. And as the saying goes, it doesn't cost anything to ask.
Right.
So
go kick the tires. And
why
see what
not
happens.
ask for? Well, sure, we'll make that trade, and we want A, B, and C in return. And you never know. The opposite party may be desperate enough to make that deal. But the Indians, I think, as you said, to their credit, they kind of stuck to their guns, so we're not going to trade these guys unless we are completely overwhelmed, and that never happened.
Right.
Ball squirts free down to 3rd. Goes the runner, and there are 2 down with Reds at the corners here in the 8th inning.
Well, this team, by design now, is a pitching and defensive-oriented team. You know, the Indians are. They're not going to outslug you. They have some good players. You need Michael Brantley back, and a lot of things have to go right for them to score. And throughout the course of the year, you know, if they're going to make it look easy, they're going to have to pitch well, they're going to have to score, they're going to have to catch the ball to be very good. And Terry Francona knows that, and you have to address that situation. And that's what they're trying to do.
Pletko delivers, and it's an up and away, ball 1. Pletko got 2 quick outs to start the inning, and then the opposite field double, and now a walk. And Cincinnati threatening with 2 outs. Waldrop flied to left, his only time up. Guillermo Quiroz, the catcher behind the dish, is 34 years old. Signed a minor league free agent contract in February, and he made his first appearance in the major leagues back in 2004. So he has been around. Just in the big leagues alone, he's been with Toronto, Seattle, Texas, Baltimore, back with Seattle, Boston, San Francisco.
My goodness.
So he has made the rounds. But again, it goes to show you, if you're a good catcher, you can receive the ball well, work with a staff.
Let's see if they see it.
And the catch is made to end the inning. 6-4 Cincinnati, middle of the 8th in Goodyear.
out there in the outfield.
Is that Bardo and Koha out there?
I don't think they would have hit the
that's true.
The square. Beautiful day in Goodyear. Actually, just enough cloud cover to keep people comfortable on a warm afternoon. I know, speaking of Koha, Mark Koha made the first Mr. Softy run of the spring already.
Oh boy. Those will be a daily episode.
Jesus Aguilar to lead off here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Aguilar grounded to third, his only time up. He tops this one to third base. And a drop will allow Aguilar to reach on an inning opening error. With the Indians only down 2, could be a costly one here late in the game for the Reds.
Second error for the Reds this afternoon. Just a routine play. Just didn't catch it or didn't make the transfer.
Pacheco.
Ball straight out of the glove and put that leadoff man aboard.
Zach Walters struck out his only time up. A.J. Morris, right-hander on for Cincinnati. And Walters socks it to deep center field, but Cave is there and makes the catch. One away. Taking a look back at our storylines today. 5th spot in the rotation. Josh Tomlin got the start today. Pitched a 1 inning, gave up 1 run. T.J. House also pitched this afternoon. He went 2 innings. First inning was 1-2-3. Second inning, he gave up a couple of runs. Who's in center? Well, Tyler Naquin. Nice job with a triple to center field. That came in the 4th inning. Naquin trying to open some eyes. Young player with tremendous potential. Shane Robinson representing the tying run at the plate for the Indians here in the 8th.
Look behind home plate, you see scouts in place.
Ball squirts free, and down to second goes Aguilar.
Had an opportunity. You know who's scouting for the Arizona Diamondbacks is Josh Burfield.
Yeah.
Former Indian who lives out here. Out in D.C. Ranch. He's behind home plate, and there's got to be a dozen of them, as there are in every ballpark around Arizona now.
I saw Josh at the winter meetings in Nashville. Josh lives in a neighborhood where across the street is Ryan Garco, who's now a Double-A manager.
That's unbelievable.
We're
at Bedrock.
Around the corner lives Ben Broussard, and a few streets over
Broussard lives out there in D.C.
is Ben Francisco. They all live within about a mile of each other. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of current and former players that live in this area throughout the winter time.
Robinson draws a free pass. The tying run aboard for the Indians. Take a look at Tyler Naquin and the pop and the wheels.
Yeah, he picked on a high fastball, hits it off the wall in right center field, but it got over the center fielder's glove. Bruce backed it up, and he cruised into third base easily for a triple.
Grant Fink getting an opportunity. There's a minor league call-up for this afternoon's spring training opener. Fink was a 23rd round pick 3 years ago by the Indians.
Right there, that's a pretty big block because, you know, that ball, if he doesn't keep it in front of him and lets the runners move up, that takes the double play away, and you move the tying run into scoring position.
Just missed, and it's 2-1. Last year, Fink at Lake County played in 62 games. A sprained left ankle limited him a year ago. He's down on strikes, 2 away.
Well, the best way to enjoy Indians baseball all summer is becoming a season ticket holder. You can choose from 8 different packages. Now with a 20-game plan, you get up to 12 games free when you buy 8. Go to Indians.com.
Eric Stamets, he came over to the Indians for David Murphy from the Angels just before the trading deadline a year ago. Stamets grew up an Indians fan outside of Columbus. He went to Dublin Scioto High School. Then he went on to the University of Evansville in Indiana, before the Angels made him a 6th round pick back in 2012. So in some ways a dream come true for Stamets to get traded to the Indians.
Certainly comes back a little closer to home, doesn't it?
Yeah. Broke the bat
right off the end. A little splintering of the bat. A couple of pieces fly off right off the end, you can see. Must have been one of those cupped ends. We'll go get a new piece of lumber.
Eric Stamets, this is the things that start to make you feel old. He mentioned he was an Indians fan as a kid. His favorite player growing up was Omar Vizquel. Eric Stamets was 4 years old when the Indians went to the World Series in 1995.
Now you feel old. Good. How's it feel?
Stamets with a hard shot to third. It gets away, and the Indians have the bases loaded with 2 down in the 8th inning.
Yeah, he's struggling over there at third base today. Second error in the inning. And so the Indians, they're getting 5 outs in this inning. Can they take advantage of it? That ball sort of handcuffs him right there. He didn't know whether he was going down on the ball instead of coming up on it. It sits back. You see, he was unsure of what he wanted to do with that ground ball, and it doesn't take much. It'll eat you up. So the Indians, bases loaded now with 2 outs. See if they can get a hit. A base hit will tie the game.
Well, I was kind of curious. I'm trying to look because Jordan Pacheco, they had him listed, the Reds did anyway, as a catcher. I'm just curious how much infield he's played before.
Well, that hot corner is not a place you want to start game 1 at, you know, trying a new position in spring training. Not that they were, he doesn't look like a third baseman the way he approached those 2 balls, because it was, you know, they were pretty easy attempts. But third base is not an easy position to learn. I don't care if it's spring training.
Well, in his career, he's played everywhere. 116 career games at first base, 93 at third, 59 behind the plate. Right now, it's an opportunity for Cleveland as Todd Hankins has a chance with the bases loaded and the pitches low and away. Todd Hankins is a former 15th round pick of the Indians back in 2011. He's a utility man. Takes ball 4, and it's a 1-run game. A bases loaded walk for Hankins. As Jesus Aguilar comes home to make it 6-5. So the tying run is at third. Go-ahead run now in scoring position for Cleveland.
Well, yeah, you talk about an inning that's been gift wrapped. 2 errors, 2 walks. And they're still trying to get out of the inning.
So Robbie Grossman at the plate with a chance to do some damage. Takes a strike, and Grossman had a base hit. His only time up. Oh, that's a foul over to the Indians dugout. And Mickey Callaway snared it.
Yeah, Mickey's daughter threw out the first pitch today. Today's ball game. And threw a strike, I might add.
Of course.
That doesn't surprise you.
She'd have to walk home if she didn't throw a strike. 2 down, bases loaded, 0-2 pitch. Grossman takes outside. Robbie Grossman last year with the Houston Astros appeared in 24 games. Played in 103 games the year before that for Houston. Foul back. Grossman was originally a 6th-round pick of the Pirates back in 2008. Then traded to Houston in the Wandy Rodriguez deal in 2012. And this offseason was released by Houston and signed as a free agent with the Indians. Another opportunity in this outfield. High pop deep to left. Drifting back at the wall in a leaping effort, and it's caught to end the inning.
Boy, he's lucky he didn't get hurt. That's a great play.
Yes, he did. He hung on. What a play made in deep left field by Scott Schebler. Wow.
Nice catch. Boy, he's lucky he didn't get hurt.
The lead is thanks to a terrific effort by Scott Schebler in left field.
Well, he had an extra step, but he thought the wall was going to be there, and you can see the way the ball is carried today. And he made the catch, but had a little room and falls back and hits the back of his head against the fence. But boy, he held on. It gets him out of the inning. It saved the Indians would have had the lead if he does not catch that ball. And that's a terrific catch.
That's got to be the most awkward feeling.
It is when you're waiting to hit
you're
the fence.
Expecting and it's not there.
I know it. You get that extra room, and not an easy play, but he was able to hold on. He came out of it unscathed. Good play to end the inning.
Carlton Dahl going to lead off for Cincinnati here in the ninth. It's a one-run game. Jarrett Grube is the new Indians pitcher. Grube is 34 years old. He was originally drafted by the Colorado Rockies. And he's got one quick out here in the ninth inning. Grube has also pitched with the Mariners organization and with the Angels. Signed as a free agent with the Indians last year, and then was granted free agency and signed back with the Tribe for 2016. See what he did last year for the Columbus Clippers. The International League champion Columbus Clippers. Fouled right back. Chad Wallach had a good rip. Couldn't square it up. His dad, Tim Wallach, was a big leaguer. Most notably, I remember with the Montreal Expos. Chad Wallach came to the Cincinnati Reds from the Marlins in the Matt Latos deal. Swung on and missed. And Wallach is quickly retired, 2 down. Tyler Holt. Spent the last 2 years in the Indians organization. Well, I should say he spent time in the big leagues over the last 2 years with the Indians. He had been in the Indians organization since they originally drafted him in the 10th round back in 2010.
Well, after this game wraps up, you're going to get a chance to be Bruce Drennan for a couple hours. He and Ashley Collins will take you back in Cleveland.
The all-new Drennan Live comes your way. Line drive on one hop. It gets through the wickets of Jesus Aguilar. Tyler Holt aboard with 2 down.
Yeah, that ball, I don't know if he was ready for it because it got through his legs in a hurry. Again, like I say, when you're down here, you don't know if they can pick it up off the bat sometimes. I mean, it looks like a play, but this ball was right there. It sort of handcuffs him, gets between his legs and in the right field, and that'll go as an error.
I don't know, Rick. I look at plays like that, and okay, are they tough plays? Yeah. Are they impossible plays? Maybe. But when you're a young player and you're trying to open somebody's eyes, trying to show that you belong, those are all opportunities.
Well, I don't disagree with you. It is an opportunity, but you know, you look at them and they look easy. They should be made because major leaguers make those plays most of the time.
Jordan Pacheco. He had his problems in the field defensively last inning.
Yes, he did.
Helped the Indians get right back in it. And it's not as if any one play makes or breaks a guy's opportunity, but you know, it's just a matter of what do you want your manager to think of when he closes his eyes when somebody says your name? You want him to think of you not being able to make a play, or the ball hit the right field. Ramsey makes the grab, and that will end the inning. Last chance for Cleveland coming up, 6-5 Cincinnati as we go to the bottom of the ninth. larger gap for Cleveland, if not for some very good relay plays.
Yeah, a lot of times early in the spring, the first thing you don't see are good throws and good relays. There's one in the first inning, only the second hitter of the game. Well done by Martinez. And then you come another one where Naquin overthrows the first cutoff man, but it's followed nicely, and another good throw by Gonzalez to get him out. So that's a good sign when you have some relays cutoffs that are working on the very first day.
Well, especially for a team that wants to sort of hang its hat on pitching defense this year.
It means a lot.
For the Indians, Nelly Rodriguez will lead it off, and then James Ramsey due up second. Nelly Rodriguez, a minor league call-up for this Cactus League opener.
Well, these minor leaguers look forward to it. You know, it may be day one in spring training, but when you get an opportunity to play in a big league baseball game, boy, it means the world to them.
Nelly Rodriguez was drafted by the Indians in the 15th round 4 years ago out of George Washington High School in New York City.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that where Manny Ramirez went to school?
You are exactly right. In the dirt. It's not far from Yankee Stadium.
Right. Well, I remember when Manny used to go in there, he used to have throngs of people that come in.
Yeah. That's back when they could get tickets to games at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, and they would rock and roll, and he'd always deliver, wouldn't he? Always seems like he would hit a home run there.
Strike three called, and Rodriguez out looking to start the night. James Ramsey will step in here, 26 years old. He came over from the Cardinals in the Justin Masterson trade at the deadline in 2014. Ramsey was a big contributor down the stretch for the Columbus Clippers last year over the last 6 games of the season when they were trying to push their way into the playoffs. He batted over 400. Swung out and missed, and it evens the count. The St. Louis Cardinals drafted Ramsey with the 23rd overall selection back in 2012. And the Georgia native takes aim here in the bottom of the 9th for Cleveland. Popped back out of play. Swing and a miss, got a piece, but it's held on for the strikeout, 2 away. Drew Hayes is a guy who was drafted 3 times. He passed the first 2 times when Arizona selected him in the 29th round in 06. Passed when Seattle made him a 22nd round pick 3 years later. And in the following season, Cincinnati picked him in the 11th round.
Well, kept moving up the ladder, didn't he? Patience.
Aguilar cuts and misses. They struck out 56 batters in 58 innings at AAA. His first taste of AAA baseball last year for Louisville. And in 43 games had a 2.95 home run average. Straightens him up. Missed inside 2-1. If Aguilar keeps the game alive, then Zach Walters would be next. Broke his bat. That's going to be a base hit, and the tying run is aboard here in the bottom of the ninth now for Cleveland. We'll see how Terry Francona plays this if he goes to a pinch runner.
Well, he certainly, look at that, he's still holding the handle in his hand. He was not going to give him any swinging room. He made a good pitch. He tied him up inside. He busts his bat, but gets the base hit to left field. And you're right, they're going to get a pinch runner, I think. No, that was Sandy just bringing over the handle to throw it into the dugout.
Here, you might want this for a toothpick later. So Zach Walters steps in. The go-ahead run now at the dish. I should say the winning run at the dish. And it's outside for ball one. Out of play. Just over 4,000 here at Goodyear Ballpark for the Cactus League opener here this afternoon. We'll be back with you tomorrow and again on Thursday. All 3 o'clock Eastern time starts. Straight call outside edge. We'll be off on Friday and then back with you again Saturday late afternoon when the Indians take on the San Francisco Giants here in Goodyear. It'll probably be a packed house for that one. The 1-2. Walters gets and misses, and the game is over. Drew Hayes gets out of the ninth and preserves a 6-5 Cincinnati win here today. Reds in the process bang out a dozen hits and overcome 3 errors in the field to beat the Indians, who had 5 runs on 10 hits. 1 defensive miscue for the Indians here today.
Well, the first one in the books.
Yeah.
March 1st, game 1.
And there's really not a lot you look back on today and say, well, one thing that I guess jumped out for me was the home run hit by Carlos Santana. Always fun to see a hitter go deep, in particular a guy like Carlos, who is going to be so heavily counted on once again in the middle of the lineup somewhere. We don't know exactly where, because Terry still isn't really sure how the lineup's going to shake.
Long way to go. You know, as we say, day one, everybody's getting their feet wet. Tomorrow there'll be a totally different lineup. Everybody will get in for the most part, I think, for the Indians. So we'll get a good look tomorrow, and we'll take it from there.
Also good to see Yan Gomes get a hit his first time up. Solid base hit in the left field. Tyler Naquin with a triple to deep center field. So all in all, good afternoon. Game 1, as Rick said, it's done. It's out of the way. It's under the belt. And we'll move on. We'll be back with you once again tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock Eastern time when the Indians once again take on the Cincinnati Reds. For Rick Manning, I'm Matt Underwood. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. An all-new Drennan Live with Bruce Drennan comes your way next right here on Sports Time Ohio. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon.